Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a guide for round 3 of the 2021 FIA Nations Cup season taking place at Catalunya GP with the Super Formulas. Quick note, if there is one sector that you want to make sure you nail down, it is this third sector, as there is a cute little chicane that pretty much determines your entire lap time. And you want to nail down that chicane by driving over the sausage curbs, but if you get it wrong, then you risk losing out on the time, or worse, spinning out. And eventually the kilometers per hour will show up on the bottom of the screen, and you want to bring yourself towards the left side of the track. Your first braking point is going to be the 100-meter board where the digital flag is, so you want to start to brake right here, brake hard for a short while, and ease off of the brakes as you turn in. Get on the throttle as soon as you can to take full advantage of the downforce. Bring yourself as far to the left as you can and turn in once you reach this little gap that is on the left. Turn in and keep going at full throttle. You might need to do a little lifting if you get the turn wrong. Your next braking point, just before you go under the bridge, before the white line that is on the left. Brake hard for a short moment, slowly ease off of the brakes, and get on the throttle as soon as you can to take advantage of the downforce. Then brake before the wall on the left ends, and you can bring yourself down to second gear for extra rotation, but exit this turn on third gear so the car can be a bit more stable. Then brake just as the curb on the right starts, quick burst of braking, and take advantage of the right and white curves as it'll help the car rotate a bit faster. For this right turn, all you need to do is just do a very quick lift off of the throttle and take advantage of the red and white curves. Then bring yourself towards the right, brake just as you're about to pass the digital flag that is on the right, brake hard for a while, slowly ease off of the brakes, and exit this turn on second gear. Then just as you're about to make this right turn, use some braking. You want to bring yourself towards the inside of the track and just be nice and gentle on the throttle. Brake before the curb on the left ends, and this is where the tricky part comes in. Quick burst of braking and bring yourself as far to the right as you can as you want to brake just before you go under the Gran Turismo sports sign. Go down to second gear for extra rotation, but you want to make sure that you exit on third gear and make sure you go over the sausage curves while doing lots of throttle control. If you get it right, you will shave off quite a bit of time, but if you get it wrong, you risk losing a lot of time and potentially spinning out. But that is pretty much it for the lap guide. Let's go ahead and take a look at the strategies. But before we actually do take a look at the strategies, you want to make sure that you actually have a button binded for the overtake feature. So from the home screen, go to options and go on over to controllers and choose your setup. So in this case, I'm using the Logitech G923. And just make sure you have a button binded for the overtake feature because you're going to be making use of it for this race. So for example, in my case, I have it binded to the circle button on my wheel. But anyways, let's take a look at the qualifying session. So you only have 5 minutes to try to get a good qualifying time. And this will give you about 2 to 3 chances to try to get a good qualifying time. And what's interesting is that the overtake feature is turned on for this qualifying session, so you can use it. Just make sure you don't use it during your outlap because at that point you're just wasting it for nothing. You're pretty much going to be using the overtake feature when you're starting your first or second or even third qualifying laps. But because these cars, the Super Formulas, they are high downforce cars, you're going to want to be qualifying alone so you don't end up under anyone's dirty air. The dirty air will make your car slower as you go through the turns because you will be understeering, so you don't have all the downforce to go through some of these turns at your usual speed. So try to qualify alone, be far away from everyone so you can take full advantage of the downforce. And yes, you're going to try to make sure that you nail down that final chicane, because once again, that chicane pretty much determines your entire lap time. And you're going to see my qualifying lap for this race, so you can get an idea of how I'm using the overtake feature. So I'm going to go ahead and be quiet for this part. So yeah, in this qualifying session, once you start your qualifying laps, so pretty much just after you go through the final chicane on your out lap, you want to be taking full advantage of the overtake feature, so you can try to be accelerating as fast as you can, reach the highest top speeds possible, and hopefully get yourself a good lap time. And as I mentioned earlier, just try to stay under the clean air at all times, because having to deal with someone's dirty air is only going to make you lose time. So qualify alone. Just remember that. Alright, so we're doing 13 laps at Catalunya GP with the Super Formulas. Make sure you have the traction control set to 1, because this is a grid start, and shortly after the race starts, bring it back down to 0 or whatever value you normally have it set to. And you're going to see right now, I'm using the overtake feature right away, because I want to get away from the potential chaos at turn 1. So that is something that you can do if you're starting in the very front of the pack. If you're starting towards the middle or the back, then get ready to embrace the chaos. So with the Super Formulas, you have both the Honda and the Toyota versions available to you. Both of them perform the exact same, so the one that you want to choose is completely up to you. Fuel is a ×4, so fuel is somewhat of an issue. You pretty much don't want to over rev the car too much, and by not over revving too much, you should be good when it comes to fuel. Worst case scenario is that you have to do a little bit of a splash and dash, but that is something that you want to try not to do. So for example, in the lower speed section, so like the hairpins, you can exit at a higher gear just to save a bit of fuel. And on sector 3 right here, you can sneak in a couple of short shifts, as this is a handling part. You don't need all the power, so you can do a bit of short shifting through here, so you can try to save a bit of fuel. Tire wear is a ×5, so tire wear is somewhat of an issue. It is possible to go 12 laps on the soft tires, but that's actually something that you're not going to want to do. Racing soft and medium tires are available and required for this race, so you do have to use both tire compounds so you don't get a 1-minute penalty after the race ends. So you're pretty much going to be going for a simple one stop. Now, I mentioned earlier that you don't want to go 12 laps on these soft tires, and the reason for that is because of the fuel. So you're using up a lot of fuel for this race, so by the time you're halfway into the race, which I'll show right now, you'll have used up around half of your fuel. So we're in the middle of lap 7, we used up 51% of fuel, so the car is going to be noticeably lighter, and which is going to make things a little interesting. So your car's lighter, which means you can accelerate faster. You'll be able to reach your top speed faster, and at that point it gets even more interesting, because when you switch on over to the racing medium tires, you're going to be going almost as fast as your racing soft tires. So it's going to be more beneficial to pit around halfway into the race, because you have less fuel, and with fresh racing medium tires you'll be going almost as fast as your racing soft stint at the start of the race. And also, if you're starting in the middle or the back of the pack, start on the racing medium tires. So in terms of the racing soft tires, you're pretty much going to want to pit as early as lap 6 or as late as lap 9. If you're starting on the racing medium tires, pit as early as lap 4 or as late as lap 7. The main thing that you want to know is how long you personally can make your racing soft tires last. So for example, with me, the racing soft tires, they start to get a little worn out at around lap 6 or 7. So lap 6 to 8 is probably going to be the time where I'm going to want to pit on over. And you also have to take into consideration if you're always under the dirty air or if you're always scrubbing your tires, because the front tires are the ones that wear out fast. So because of that, bring the brake balance towards the back of the car. So +4, +5, that's what you want to put your brake balance to. So laps 6 to 9, depending on your situation, that's where you're going to want to generally pit from your racing soft to medium tires. And in a bit, you'll actually see me pit on over. So my tires, they're wearing out quite a bit, so it's time to change tires. So we're going to bring ourselves all the way to the right, just after the cute little chicane at the very end of the lap. And luckily, we don't need to refuel, so no refueling is needed. So we'll switch on over to the racing medium tires, and your pit loss is going to be around 23.5 seconds. And with these pit stops being longer now, you only want to go for a one stop, hopefully just for a tire change and no refueling. And also, you might have noticed that I barely used the overtake feature. This was just for consistency as I was doing the testing. During the race, you want to take advantage of the overtake feature, but I'll talk just a bit about that later on. And provided that you're not like me and keep on messing up the final chicane, then you're going to notice that your racing medium stints, their lap times are going to be pretty fast. And I just got a purple sector, which is pretty cool. But anyways, so your racing medium stint, they're going to be really fast provided that you get the final chicane right. And it's almost going to be as fast as your racing soft stint because you have very little fuel left. So when you pit in, you'll have around half of your tank of fuel left, and then towards the very end of the race, you'll be racing on fumes. I actually finished on 0% fuel, so that was really close. So I got a 1921 for this race with the errors that I made included in that. Whereas with my 12 soft and 1 medium run, I ended up finishing with a 19 minutes and 26 seconds. So that run was slower than the other one. So what you want to do, if you're starting on the soft tires, go with them for 6 to 9 laps. And if you're on the racing medium tires, go 4 to 7 laps on the medium tires, and then do the rest of the race on the soft tires. Now with the overtake feature, this lets your car accelerate faster. It gives your car more power, so you accelerate faster and your car takes less time to reach its top speed. But you want to be careful with it because you only have 60 seconds worth of the overtake feature to use. So once you run out of it, you're out, and you won't be able to use it. Even if you pit, you won't have any more overtake feature to use. So you want to be very wise about how you use it. And pretty much one of the best times to use the overtake feature is when you're trying to pass someone. So you can take advantage of the slipstream going down the main straight as an example. Use the overtake feature and it'll make your life a little easier when trying to pass someone. But with everyone having the overtake feature available, some people might notice that you're trying to overtake them, and then they'll try to counter your move with their own usage of the overtake feature. So it's going to make overtaking a little difficult. It also uses up a bit more fuel, so you do want to be careful with that as well. So with the dirty air and everyone having to overtake, it'll make overtaking pretty difficult, so you want to make sure that you can qualify as high up as you can. And let's actually take a look at places to overtake and the penalty serving zone. The main straight is a really good place to get the overtake done with the use of slipstream and the overtake feature. After that, the dirty air is really going to kick in, so if you're right behind someone, it's going to make life a bit more difficult as you'll be understeering all over the place. These next two turns, so this one and the next one, they're situational for overtaking. You can try to get it done, but be careful because if you end up in a long battle through these turns, you do risk losing a lot of time. So those places, very situational. This turn, I don't suggest going for overtake. I would suggest wait it out until you reach the back straight, which is right around here. The penalty serving zone is also right here. There's only one penalty serving zone, and this is pretty much the last best place to get the overtake done with the use of the overtake feature. After that, the dirty air will once again kick in and make life difficult for you if you're right behind someone. And make sure you nail down this chicane because you can lose a lot of time if you get it wrong. But anyways, that is pretty much it for this guide. Once again, this is a one-stop race and you need to use both the racing soft and medium tires, pit around halfway into the race. And yeah, so that's all from me. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. So this is Mr. BCA getting an allergy attack right now thanks to pollen, and I'll see you in the next video.